What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American now living in Freetown, Sierra Leone. And if you want to know what it's been like now that I've been here 3 months, whether I want to leave or not, and the progress that I've been making, then this is the video for you. All right. We are live. We're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. I think that's and Twitch as well. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I want to get a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Mr. London Boy for Life is here. Much love from the UK. What's up? How you doing? I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well. So one, give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. And then two, let me know where you guys are watching from. Where you guys watching from? Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me. And then also let me know where you guys are watching from. I want to know where everybody's watching from. All right, so I got some thumbs up on Instagram. Cool. I got a thumbs up on YouTube. Cool. What about TikTok? Can you guys hear me on TikTok? Give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me on TikTok. Can you guys hear me on TikTok? Let me know. I want to know if you guys can hear me on TikTok. Okay. So I got the thumbs up. Okay, we got Dubai. Lakim's is from Dubai. The father Abraham is watching from Nigeria. Okay. Web Hot Media said we'll be in West Africa soon. Nice. Where are you currently? Jennifer said you can hear me. Nice. Jay McKnight says Funky Town. Where is that a reference to the song? Okay, we got Kim in South Africa. Okay. It's on my list of places to go. I got to get to South Africa before the next 12 months. All right, what do we got? Anywhere else? Where we got people calling in from, watching from? I said calling in from, but where's everybody watching from? So Instagram is the most active. We got a bunch of people here. We got people from South Africa. We got Brooklyn in the house. Web Hot Media, Brooklyn my whole life. I lived in Brooklyn for 15 years. Fun fact. Flatbush by Prospect Park. I also lived in downtown Brooklyn for a year next to the Barclays Center. I love Bling 8. Send me a DM. Okay, I'll check it out. Send me another DM just to remind me. Okay, Dora says the USA. Okay, where in the USA? You got Louisville, Kentucky. You got Tampa, Florida. Wow. Okay, I see Tampa, Florida. I see. What else do we got? Tanzania. Nice. Okay, we got some people coming in from China. All right, what about you guys on TikTok? Where are you guys watching from? Where are you guys watching from on TikTok? I want to hear from you guys. TikTok's always quiet. Let me know where you guys are watching from. I want to know. My man Sam Balla's here. Sam, I went to high school with Sam way back in the day. I graduated high school a little over 20 years ago. This actually next month. Actually, technically, June of this year was 20 years since I graduated, which is crazy to think. So Sam, what's up, man? Sam is from New York, of course. Watching from LinkedIn too. Nice. Mr. London Boy for Life obviously is in London. He said my connection is breaking up. This hotel room, man. Sorry. I am at Pearl. The connection's a little bit stable today, but generally it's really good. But I'm at Pearl Hotel. I'm in the penthouse suite as usual. They let me use the suite, and I really do appreciate Mars and the staff at Pearl who always let me use it. So if you're in Sierra Leone and you're looking for a nice place to stay, Pearl is nice. This is the penthouse suite. They have plenty of other rooms, not as big as this, but they have 3 bedrooms. They have 2 bedrooms. They have 1 bedrooms. I've stayed at Pearl like 6 or 7 times. Many times I stayed at Pearl. Definitely recommend it. And Nubian Treasures Handcrafted said they're calling in from watching from Atlanta. Can you guys hear me better now? Let me know on YouTube if you guys can hear me better, and LinkedIn if you can hear me better now. We got let's see what else we got on Instagram. Who else? Where else? Louisville, Kentucky, Tampa, Florida. I think we already said. Jackson, Mississippi. Web Hot Media is like Patio Gardens. And yeah. So yeah, I lived in Patio Gardens. That's crazy. You know, I lived in Patio Gardens. I did at one point in time live in Patio Gardens, and I did live near the Barclays Center. Nice. We got Doisibor. How do you pronounce that? New Jersey. Web Hot Media says we probably know each other. We probably do. I mean, I lived in the Lefferts Gardens, that apartment building, for 14 years. Okay, cool. Who else we got? We got, okay, you guys can hear me on IG. Well, Chicago's in the house. I haven't been to Chicago yet. Austin, Texas. London. We got London. All right, cool. So we're going to talk about what it's been like for me being here in Sierra Leone. All right, so a couple things before we get into that. So Mr. London Boy for Life said, when will you be in Ghana? I'll likely be in Ghana in October. So before going to Tanzania, I'll be in Ghana for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. So at the very least, the first week in October, the last week in September, I'll also be in Ghana before I head to Tanzania. Mr. London Boy for Life said you can hear me better. Nubian Treasures Handcrafted said the sound was working fine. And Sam says the audio is perfect on LinkedIn. All right, cool. All right, so I'm back in Sierra Leone. As many of you guys know, and those of you who don't know, who are new to the channel, I lived in Ghana for 2 years. Worked at Jumia, an e-commerce company. They call themselves the Amazon of Africa. And I did that for a year, worked for another company based in the US, still living in Ghana for a year. And after 2 years in Ghana and realizing I spent more time in Sierra Leone in 2022 than I did in Ghana, I decided to move to Sierra Leone. And part of that move was, one of the things we talked about when I was talking about moving was the opportunities and the potential for me here. You know, when I initially moved to the continent, I moved to Ghana because there were more opportunities I felt for myself. And it did work out that way. You know, in terms of getting the job at Jumia, Jumia is not available in Sierra Leone. So I got that experience, you know, working at an organization that represented 11 different countries on the continent of Africa, different talent from around the world. And I was a department head, country head of advertising for Ghana. So that was an interesting and life-changing experience, I would say. But throughout the last 2 years, coming back and forth to Sierra Leone, strengthening the relationships I have with people here, continuing to build new relationships, it made more sense for me to be in Sierra Leone because I can interface with people who are making things happen in this country. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk about it. But before we do that, there's a lot that I want to mention to you all because there's a lot of new people here. Mr. London Boy for Life said, Joe, you really putting Sierra Leone on the map. Keep it up. Of course, it's country pride. You know, I have to represent for Sierra Leone. Of course. And many of you, of course, are people who've gotten your Sierra Leone citizenship. I've talked to many of you, and you guys have told me you got your Sierra Leone citizenship. You're wondering what happens next, right? How do you invest? How do you buy land? How do you get your driver's license? All of these things are things that I'm helping people with. And beyond that, anyway, we'll get into everything. There's a lot that I've done. Today has been a busy day, so I'm just going to go through some slides, and then I'm just going to talk to you guys. If you guys are watching on LinkedIn, if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok and you want to see the slides, just look at the pinned link. I don't know if I can pin that link actually, but I'll keep posting messages in the chat. If you want to just see what I'll just post another message here. So basically, you just want to click on the link in my description and click on Join Me on YouTube Live Now, basically. You click on that and that'll take you directly to the live. All right, cool. So let's get into it. As always, I'll present what's on something on the screen because that's who I am and that's what I do. I'm a presenter. I spend my life and my career doing so. So this is no different, even though I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. All right, cool. Mr. London Boy for Life says, there's a Sierra Leone guy who is building an amusement park in Bo. You should check it out. Yes, they reached out to me, and I will be checking it out next time I go to Bo. Absolutely. I just haven't had a chance to. The owner lives in the States. I am familiar with that. All right, cool. So let me share my screen. Let's get to it. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, I think this will give you a good understanding of who I am and what I'm about and what I've been up to. So we'll talk about that. And then like from there, we'll just talk a little bit more about specifically what's been going on and why I'm so excited about my life here. So let me know if you guys can see on the screen. If you're watching on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let me know if you can see it on the screen. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, you won't be able to see it on your screen. You can just click on the link in the profile, and that'll take you to what I am displaying on the screen. But let me know on YouTube, Facebook, if you guys can see my screen. Just make sure you let me know you can see it. Give me a thumbs up. While I wait to hear from you guys to see if you can see on my screen, let's see if I saw anybody else who joined. Mariama Forbes is here. Shout out to Mariama Forbes. I know she's in the UK. Who else do we got in here that I know? I Love Bling 8 says, will I be going to Burkina Faso at some point in time in the future? I don't know. Sometime in the future. I don't know exactly when, but it's on my list. All right, cool. All right, cool. Mr. London Boy for Life and Mr. KK says you guys can see my screen. Cool. All right, so let's get into the presentation. We got Kenya. What's up? Empress Fudia is in the building, co-owner of Freetown Shop House in Freetown, Sierra Leone. We got to catch up. Lots to catch you up on. If you guys might remember the two sisters that I used to have on the live, they have a podcast. So Pepper Soup, you definitely have to check them out and what they're doing. But anyway, let's get into the presentation so really quickly, there's a couple things to talk about. Obviously, I upload videos every week on Instagram and YouTube. With your help, the channel is growing tremendously on Instagram and on YouTube. So I want to thank you all for your participation, your comments, your shares, your saves, your likes. All of that helps to get out to more people. I've already met most of my goals this year, blew my goals out of the water. My goal this year at the beginning of the year was to get to 70K on Instagram. As I told you guys, we hit that by like March. And then the goal by the end of the year was to get to 100K. We hit that by May. We hit that by August, I think, early August. And now we're almost at 120K. So in the last 10 days, we've grown almost 20,000. And that's really been because of all of the participation, how much you guys have really been sharing, liking, commenting. Many of you guys are also posting, resharing stuff on your stories, sending it on WhatsApp. I can see everywhere it goes. I really appreciate it. Kenya says, Kenya sounds foreign. I love that name, by the way. And it does sound foreign. And you are foreign. But she said, let's talk this week. We're definitely talking. We'll definitely be talking this week. YOA or Ya said, when the UK foreign minister, who is half Sierra Leone, visited Uganda, menu finder gave him food from Freetown Chop House as a surprise. Nice that they showcased it. Nice. See, Freetown Chop House, you guys are everywhere now. Freetown Chop House is popping. Malik, sorry, says, good evening. What's up, man? Long time no see. All right, cool. So let's talk about some of the services that I'm providing to people who want to move to the continent, who want to visit the continent, all of the above. So consulting services, couple of partnerships that I have allow us to help you with airport concierge services, emergency visa, a number of other things. You see them on the screen. Not going to go through each one of them. Local needs, registering a SIM, all of that. And then local restaurant recommendations, nightlife recommendations, tour recommendations, hotels, Airbnbs. Obviously, one of my number one recommendations for a restaurant is going to be Freetown Chop House, because you have to get Sierra Leone jollof. You have to. And if you're going to be in Ghana, that's a chance. You get a chance of a lifetime to get Sierra Leone jollof. So free plug for Freetown Chop House, but definitely when you get a chance, stop by there. Also, if you're moving to Ghana, We can help with residency services, business feasibility, and also business registration services. If you're moving, renting, buying land, building a house, I have connections to help you with all of that. And then with Sierra Leone, similar services, visiting Sierra Leone, moving to Sierra Leone, buying land in Sierra Leone. And if you want to know how to do that and you want to talk to me one-on-one conversation, link will be in the description of this video. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're watching this replay or watching it live, it'll be in the description. And if you're watching this on TikTok or on Instagram, you can just click on the link in the profile. It says book private one-on-one, 1 hour long consultation about Africa. You click on that and I will be able to help you. I'm also doing consultations on social media. Now that I've grown a social media platform and I understand how to do so, that is something I'm also offering to people as one-on-one consultations. And then I also want to mention, before we move on to some of the travel stuff we're doing, I've relaunched my social media agency. I've talked about this in the past. I had a social media agency back in 2018. Short-lived because I fired my clients. That's the good thing about having your own business, is you can fire your clients. And so I did. I had a couple of cannabis clients and I had a couple other clients. I had a music label in Los Angeles, did not agree with the direction they were going with a child musician. And so I decided to walk away from that relationship with that particular organization. But through that, I learned the process of building a social media agency, and that business has always been in my mind. And since moving to Sierra Leone, it makes sense to restart it under the Authentic African brand, because Authentic African already is a case study that I can utilize to show that I can grow a social media platform. I have a team already in place, and I'm building more of a local team here as we speak. And so, yeah, I've relaunched my social media agency, rebranded. It used to be called Momentum Media Agency. Now it's Forever Green Agency. Those were both the agencies based under the two different umbrellas. One was cannabis related and solar related. The other one was everything non-cannabis and solar. Now it's Authentic African, because I'm only working with Africans and African diasporan brands. Okay, Mr. London Boy for Life is asking a question. Is Freetown Chop House the only Sierra Leone restaurant in Ghana? From what I understand, it is, and there may be more. I don't know. I would say Google it, but it's the only one I went to and that I recommend. So put it that way. And it's in Osu, easy location to get to. So if you're in Accra, get to Osu, get to Freetown Chop House, and get you some Salon Jollof, of course. All right, cool. All right, so as I mentioned to you guys before, I'm going on some travel. If you guys want to join me, you can. 2 major trips this year. Since going to Gambia earlier this year, I'm going to Tanzania October 7th through the 16th with Maximum Impact and Jay Cameron. You should definitely come along. If you want to know more about the trip, the link is in the description. Just click on that Linktree link, and just click on Authentic African East African Adventure, and that'll give you all the details you need to know about that trip to Tanzania. I'm also going to Kenya for the Call to Action trip with the Traverse Culture team, December 28th of this year through January 8th of next year. If you want to know more about that, of course, I'm going with Kia Wakesho Simmons and her team. And if you want to know about more about that, you can just click on the link that says join me in Kenya for New Year's. All right, cool. So 3 months in Sierra Leone. Let's talk about it, because people have been asking me, what's it been like? And we talked a lot about this before I actually left Ghana, right? We talked about why I was coming to Sierra Leone. There was a couple of reasons. One, I spent 5 months in Sierra Leone last year. I only spent 4 months in Ghana this year. It didn't make sense for me to make Ghana my permanent home if I'm spending more time in another country, right? Number one. Number two, I wasn't generating any revenue off my apartment, which was the original purpose for getting the apartment that I got. I had a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom apartment in Ghana. But because there was issues with water and some other issues with power, even though Ghana is not terrible with power, they just didn't always work on the gen. Like where, the generator had issues a lot. So it didn't make sense for me to put an Airbnb it, because I didn't want to get 0-star reviews, right? So I decided against it. So moving to Sierra Leone, we talked a lot about some of the challenges that I encountered early on, right? And why I started a consultancy so that I can make sure that you guys don't go through any of those challenges. We're not going to rehash any of those here. But if you guys want to know, just go back and watch my previous live when I talked about when I first moved to Sierra Leone, and watch some of the previous videos. Any videos that say chaos in them, watch those. That'll give you a full view of what those challenges were like when I first moved here. Since then, those challenges have been mitigated, solved. I guess challenges have been solved. We got solutions to those challenges, and more importantly, we made some serious progress. So I mentioned one of the things I mentioned, like I said, was the network that I have in Sierra Leone. Right, I have people here who are country managers, who run NGOs, who run nonprofits, who work in government. I know people who work in government, all different levels. And I have the ability to meet people who meet and who know other people. So for me, I have 1 degree of separation to the president, let's say, for instance, or 1 degree of separation to the chief minister, who I just exchanged contact information with this weekend and been messaging back and forth today. So like that's not something that I ever experienced anywhere else in the world, right? That quickly and that easily. Being here 3.5 months, and I met the chief minister, which is basically the second most important person other than the president, well, vice president, I guess, but this is the chief minister, right? So all the ministers report to this person. And we exchanged some information. Hopefully we'll be able to get a meeting on the books, but that's something that can happen being in Sierra Leone. And I definitely recommend people who are thinking about whether or not they should move to Sierra Leone or visit Sierra Leone, definitely come to the country. Make sure you have some income already, because it does take a while to generate some income. But if you're a mover and a shaker, if you're a person who believes in being consistent, and you have a skill set that isn't already seen in this country or hasn't been done well, and you can articulate that, you can open doors. Now, opening doors doesn't necessarily mean revenue right away, because Lord knows I've been having a lot of meetings. I mean, I would probably say I've had over 50 meetings, probably closer to 100 meetings since coming to this country. I mean, I have meetings, like at least 2 or 3 meetings a day at different places, different offices, different hotel restaurants, different hotel bars, all kinds of different meetings, formal, informal meetings. And that's just to build relationships. In this country, it's all about relationships. And it's who's talking about you and your skill set, and how many people are talking about you and your skill set. So you constantly need to be proving yourself and constantly need to be meeting people, even if you have the network. The network can only get you so far, right? That can get you in touch with that person. You can meet the person that you need to meet, but in order for them to move forward with you in terms of a contract or a position in a role, it's going to require you to have some kind of relationship over time that you've had to be able to build, or you've had to be able to prove your value to that person. And so, as I mentioned before, right, one of the reasons for moving here was potential to be a big fish in a small pond, right? So what does that mean? That means that with my social media platform, there are people who have larger social media platforms overall in Sierra Leone, but their platforms revolve around certain things. Some of them might be musicians. Actually, maybe there's maybe 3 or 4 people who have bigger social media platforms than I do in Sierra Leone. Some might be like TikTok dancers, right? But I'm the only person with the size of the audience that I have that touches on the content that I do, right? Helping people understand how to move, what it's like to visit here, all of those things, like that, the kind of content that I do, and interview entrepreneurs. Nobody doing that here. That's the part. And also, I guess I have a distinctive look, right? Not a lot of people have beards here, so I get recognized a little bit more. It's easier for people to remember me when I see them. I have business cards. Business cards are exchanged more frequently in West Africa than when I was living in the States. The only time I would exchange business cards when I was in the States really was when I would go to conferences, right? You go to a conference, sometimes you got to put a business card in a fishbowl to maybe win a raffle or something, potentially win a TV or Xbox or something like that. But here, it's a good way to just show that you are a legitimate business. I mean, I know that anybody can print business cards, but it's just helpful, right? And business cards, well, my phone number is on the business card, so I'm not going to show it to you. But yeah, my business cards, I share my business cards, right? And so it's helpful because then that makes you memorable. My business card, on the back of it, it's my giant logo. The front, I have my logo, and just my social media handles on the front with my phone number. And so it's easy to remember when you see it. You see the logo, you remember it, and then you can attach that with me, right? It's memorable. And so yeah, so meeting the chief minister this weekend, being in the room with multiple cabinet members, and then meeting other people from the other party 2 weeks ago, in the having met the mayor previously, knowing people who know the mayor personally, 1 degree of separation from the mayor, 1 degree of separation from the president. You just don't have that anywhere else. In Ghana, I did my best to do as much networking as I could. I have great friends who are also well connected with many different people, but definitely didn't have 1 degree of separation from the president of Ghana. Definitely didn't have 1 degree. Definitely didn't have the phone number of the chief minister in Ghana either. And so in Sierra Leone, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's a really small country, and Freetown is a really small city. So that means that everybody knows everybody. So it can be a good or a negative thing. It depends on how good you are at building your reputation and what kind of reputation you want to have in this country. And as long as you're doing the right thing and you are, offering value to people, people are going to pass you on to other people. And so, so that's one thing, right? Being a big fish in a small pond, access to people who are making decisions. And then also, my calls get picked up. Right. So like if I make a phone call to someone or I send a text message to someone, because I offer value to people and because I have social proof with the platforms, people answer and respond to my messages. Right. So like, yeah, if I for instance, today I made a request to speak to the Minister of Agriculture because I have some people who want to farm in Sierra Leone. And that person was like, let me just talk to the minister and ensure that they're okay with me giving you their number. But yeah, let me just talk to them. But like, I don't have that access anywhere else, right? Like anywhere else I visited on the continent, all the other people that I know definitely don't have that access. And I definitely didn't have that kind of access in the States. And so just, one text message away from getting that same person introduced me to the chief minister, right? The other day when we were out. So that is a huge benefit to being here in Sierra Leone. And that is why I know these specific introductions were going to be made, but I knew that I'd be able to accelerate faster and be able to be in rooms with people who are decision makers in this country a lot easier here than I could elsewhere. On the other front, people who run NGOs. NGOs are like the bigger businesses here. I have the phone number for the country manager, what do you call it? Country manager, executive director of major telecom company here. Actually, 2 major banks, sorry. Echo Bank and UBA. I also have, I'm 1 degree of separation through 2 different people with the CMO of the biggest telecom company here, scheduling meetings with them, scheduling meetings with the CMO, second biggest telecom company here. So these things are all happening because of the relationships I've been able to build. It made sense for me to move here. And so with the starting of this agency, these are the people that I'm meeting with and that I'm pitching. And then I also have clients that I am starting to work with the agency as well. And that all starts in September. So these are all things that have all been happening in 3.5 months I've been here. It definitely takes a lot. You gotta have a lot of energy. You have to buy lunch sometimes. You have to go out when you don't want to go out. I definitely was out last night or the other night, and I didn't want to be out. I was definitely trying to go to sleep because, I'm sober these days. I don't drink anymore, so I don't like to keep the party going. Once I'm out for a little bit, and I'm ready to go home. But, there was the opportunity to meet some people in power, and so why not, right? And, obviously, be able to offer them some value too, right? It's not just me just trying to meet them, actually coming with some ideas and things that they can do to get their messages out there to the broader public. Mr. London Boy for Life had some very controversial things to say, so I'm not going to put what you're saying up on the screen. But I will say this, Mr. London Boy for Life. I hear you in what you're saying. You got to keep in mind that I have to remain impartial, and also I have to be very careful with how I speak about these things. But one thing I think is very important to understand is I don't think you should. I think the private sector is going to be really important to build up on the continent of Africa. That's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to use the United States as an example. I was also in France, funnily enough, in England last year, and the same sentiment is there. People always say the government needs to give me more jobs. We need more government jobs, right? And I understand that some things are privatized, some things are public sector jobs, right? Garbage and things like that tend to be public sector jobs in certain countries. Other countries, it's not. You cannot rely on the government in particular to do everything. Obviously, government is necessary, but the private sector in the world of capitalism today is really going to be where most of the jobs are going to come from. That's just what it's going to be, especially on the continent of Africa. That's just how it's going to be. It's just, there's no other way around it. It just is what it is. And so the good thing is that there's so much investment coming to the continent of Africa. If you guys remember earlier this year, we talked about the $5 billion that went into tech startup funding last year, not to mention oil and gas and all the other industries. Just tech funding was $5 billion. Nigeria by itself got $1.08 billion to Nigeria by itself. Ghana had 518 million, if I'm not mistaken. And these numbers are coming from memory, so don't hold me to the specifics, but in that area of numbers. And you can see that these are the places where more of the jobs are going to come from. And that's why my focus is going to be on helping businesses scale. And that's in a number of different ways, right? As an investor, eventually, as an advisor, and then also as a social media agency, right? Or as an agency, helping them get in front of more customers. You get in front of more customers, you make more sales, you can grow. So my goal, my entire goal while I'm here is seeing companies grow so that they can employ more people, so that there are less comments about how they feel like there aren't enough jobs, right? And so that's always going to be my goal on the continent. And that's even why I have these platforms and why I've been so focused on being so consistent, going live every Monday and posting content, paying out of my pocket social media managers to manage these platforms, because my goal has always been to do my best to get in front of those audiences to help them grow. So, so those are some of the things that have been happening and why it's so important to be here. And there are more and more people in our age range moving back to Sierra Leone, which is really important. Other countries have this already. Let's talk about, like, let's say specifically China, I think is a good example of this, where you have people that go away to school and come back. India is another example of this. So people go to school in the US, maybe work for a few years, and then come back home and build businesses and employ people. Nigeria, places on the continent, Nigeria has this pretty frequently. Ghana has this. I know someone in particular, I know a couple people, but one person in particular who's one of my business mentors who went to college in the United States, came back to Ghana, built a large tech firm, retired at 50, and now he lives between Ghana and Sierra Leone, right? That is something we want to see more of in Sierra Leone. One of the good things about the current administration is they brought a lot of people back to Sierra Leone who weren't planning on coming back, right, to come work in their administration. Whether you are with the political party or not, that's up to you. That's totally your choice. But bringing those people back, a lot of those people are getting into business here. A lot of those people are now starting to employ people here. And so, and now they're bringing their kids here and family members here, right? So people are coming more and more for the first time, where Sierra Leone was a place that we had this big issue of brain drain, right? Where our best and brightest would be trying to escape, go to the UK, go to the US, go to Canada, go to Ukraine even, and then not come back, until they hit retirement age. And so now what we're seeing is many people are starting to come back. And that is the exciting part, because now we're starting to see a community of us who are now running together. The brunches are lit because we're all there. We're all doing something responsible. We're doing something to help progress this country. I love all my friends in the States. And, we always had a lot of great conversations about things that were happening in the Black community in America and things that we could do to help progress the Black community in America. And that was great. And I appreciated those conversations. But I was always more passionate about what's happening on the continent of Africa. And so now in the conversations I'm having, they're more about how do we progress what's happening on the continent of Africa? What are the best ways that we move as a continent? How do we move as a country? And these are the things that I'm passionate about. These are the conversations that I think give me a renewed sense of energy and a renewed sense of hope for where we can go. And so, even though, there are some challenges living in the country, right? Generating revenue is the biggest one. It makes up for it in all these other arenas, and it gives you more excitement to kind of keep moving forward. I realize now that I watch very little American independent media. I really only watch independent media anyway. I don't really watch like the major news outlets, but I watch many independent media sources who reference major news outlet stories, but they do their own investigative journalism from both sides of the aisle. I think that's always important to hear, the other side and what their thought process is. And so, but I found myself listening less and less to that and paying attention more and more to what's happening on the continent. And that leads me to the next topic of discussion, and that's potential partnerships and new partnerships that aren't set in stone yet, but let's just say there is a larger channel, their YouTube channel, and they report on the news that is happening on the continent and around the diaspora. And I have submitted some news stories to them, and so it looks like I will likely be a contributor for them. And so we'll keep you guys posted on what that looks like as soon as the first videos start getting posted and the contract is signed. But as of right now, they are reviewing and going through the process of, editing and all that for the videos that I sent. But that's going to be an interesting new direction that I'll be taking. So you guys will be seeing not only on these platforms here, but there are other platforms that you'll be seeing me on, offering my insights to the different news stories that are happening around the continent, which I'm really excited about because that's really what I care about, what I'm passionate about. And that's what I wake up in the morning and look at now. I used to wake up in the morning. I used to listen to The Daily when I was in the States. It's a New York Times podcast. And then I had all these other US-based podcasts that I listened to. I'd wake up in the morning and do that. Now I wake up in the morning, stats, of course, across all platforms first. Then I look for news stories. What's happening around the continent and how are the geopolitical issues affecting what's happening in the country that I'm in and the people that I care about most. So yeah, my man Kellen is in the building. What's up, Kellen? This guy Kellen is the one that is helping set up what we just talked about, that potential partnership that we're talking about. Justina's in the Justina, what's up, Justina? This is Kusheo. Justina is my cousin, also a content creator and a new mom. Shout out to Justina. Justina was on YouTube many years ago. I remember looking at Justina's YouTube channel. She had a couple videos go viral, pranking her parents. Her dad is Sierra Leone. Her mom is from Montserrat, right? And she used to prank her parents. Hilarious videos. She used to do a bunch of other videos now too. She's vlogged and she's done like local reality TV there in the UK. So shout out to Justina. We got to catch up again soon. Justina also has a social media agency. And Justina, I just relaunched mine here. So we need to connect because I got some clients and there's some conversations that you and I need to have for sure. Yes, it was Montserrat is where her mother's from. I remember her family likes to drop the F-bombs in the house. I remember going to the house and I'm like, damn, people from Montserrat, man, they get down. Good people though. Lots of fun times back in the day. Justina was born on the 4th of July, random fact. Okay, cool. So Yeah, so those are some of the updates, right? That is really what I wanted to talk about today. It's been a challenge though, for sure. I mean, like, you know, in the States, right? If you have the background, you have a meeting or two, in general, it's like a yes or no, we're gonna move forward or we're not. Here, I've had way too many meetings to not know for sure what's the next step, right? But you just keep having the meetings, right? It's all about developing the relationship. So just keep going. I am a person who accelerates quickly. I do not have time to waste. So, you know, it's only been 3.5 months. And the people that I've met with and the conversations that I had might surprise a lot of people. But it's not enough for me. And that's probably why it happened so fast. Because I'm the type of person that, you know, if I put my mind to something, I expect it to be done quickly. And so if you guys might remember, when I moved to the continent, I was in Sierra Leone for 2 months. Within that first month, I had a first conversation with the CEO of Jumia, Ghana. And by the time I moved to Ghana, I was there within the month of me being in Ghana, I had already started my job there. That is just how I move. And it's because of my consistency, my dedication to the hard work, my passion for what I do, my confidence in the knowledge that I have, and my ability to say what I don't know, too. I think it's important to know what you don't know and be okay with that. Because I don't ever get caught up in imposter syndrome, because I don't work on things that I do not understand or I don't know, and I'm okay with saying I don't know that. All right, cool. So Justina's asking, what's your favorite thing about Sierra Leone right now? You know what my favorite thing about Sierra Leone right now is? It's about being with the people that I've developed relationships with over the last 7 years since coming back for like the first time more regularly. I think that's probably my favorite thing. You know, I have crews in every major city, right, that I've lived in: New York, LA. Even though I live in Atlanta, many of my LA people moved to Atlanta, so I got like a little group in Atlanta too. And then, of course, I have Ghana, I have Sierra Leone. And the group in Sierra Leone, the difference here is there are certain people in Sierra Leone where their parents know my parents, right? Whereas all the other places that I lived, I maybe met some people's parents at barbecues or birthday parties here and there, but our parents don't know each other. And so I think that's a more interesting relationship that I have with some of my friends here. And then culturally similar, knowing, just like hearing Creole everywhere I go. I'm learning Creole and speaking Creole more often. So it's forcing me to speak my native language, the language that my mother spoke growing up, her first language. And and it's just, for me, I think it's been amazing being here and all of those things. Doesn't mean that it hasn't been without its challenges, for sure. Great question for Mr. London Boy for Life. Joe, are you gonna grow locks again? I'm not. I just haven't cut my hair in a long time. I know my hair is really long. Haven't cut it in a minute. I'm not gonna grow locks again. It's not happening. For reasons that I'm not gonna discuss on the live. I'm not growing locks again. It's not happening. Jerry Campbell's on the live. What's up? Good to catch you too. Thanks for joining. So Mr. London Boy for Life says, Joe, how do you cope with the heat in Sierra Leone? How do I cope with the heat? I mean, I've lived in LA. I've lived in Florida. I lived in Florida for a year. New York, actually, believe it or not, gets pretty hot. How do I cope with the heat? I wear shorts, use the AC, wear less layers. But to be honest with you, it's not that bad, to be honest. It's hot. It gets hot here, but it's not as bad as you might think. And you kind of get used to it. You acclimatize to it. Like once you're here a year or two, you get used to it. And I lived in LA for 4 years where it has like no real seasons. So I got a chance to experience like sun year round, which I appreciate because we do have rainy season right now. And I'm wishing it was every day. But yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Is that Peace Corps? What? No. So one core is why I cut mine. Why'd you cut yours? I don't know what one core means. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out what that means. One core. Why did you cut it, Kellen? Because I know Kellen's picture shows him with locks, but he doesn't currently have locks. Destiny is asking, have you been to Liberia? I have not been to Liberia yet. That reminds me, actually, I'm talking to a NGO about doing some work with them, and the country manager is Liberian. It's a good reminder. I have not been to Liberia yet, but it's coming soon. I will be going to Liberia sometime in the next 12 months. I'm also going to Guinea sometime in the next 12 months. Both of those locations are definitely happening. Oh, First Corinthians. Okay, First Corinthians is why Kellen cut his. Is it not a shame for a man to have long hair? Yeah, my locks are pretty long, man. They were down to I cut them, the middle of my back. I cut them every 2 years too. I trimmed them every 2 years. But it was time. It was time. 3 hours every other week, every other Saturday, I gave for 11 years of my life. Can you imagine what it's like to go from every other Saturday having a routine, no matter what, except for like if I traveled, I'd get it done like the day before I traveled. I was going to be going for a week or two or whatever. And imagine what that's like. And then getting Saturdays back every Saturday. Man, it was a game changer. It was a game changer. My cousin Jai is in the house. Jai, of course, has locks. My man Jai got the locks now. He took over for me. Kellen said that, yeah, Marlon locks. I did have long locks. They were crazy long. People used to ask me if it was my hair. I'm like, man, I'm not Fetty Wap. I don't sew locks into my hair. This is my hair. Shout out to Fetty Wap and everyone. Hope he keeping his head up. He's behind bars right now. Wish him the best of luck. But no, the people used to ask me all the time. It wasn't my hair. Dan Diablo, the troublemaker's in the building. What's up, Dan Diablo? What's going on? When next are you back in Sierra Leone, Dan? I want to know. Okay, cool. So a couple of reasons why I said it made sense for me to be here, right? Big fish, small pond, the network, what I'm passionate about, the conversations that I'm having, the closeness of the family and friends. Oh, that's the other thing. Family members that I've never gotten a chance to know growing up. I'm getting a chance to know them now. People who I had heard their names but never seen their faces. So that's I knew from my childhood from New York. Who had moved back here because many people retire back in Sierra Leone and they were much older people, and so getting a chance to see some of them has been interesting. But I have family members who lived here their whole lives, and I didn't see them until I was 25, and didn't see them again until about 6 years ago, and now I see them more regularly, right? So that's been good. So yeah. So that's been another really, really big benefit to being here, is just the opportunity to see family that you haven't seen. Now, that also comes with other things like responsibilities and the need to dole out cash, because that is a thing that happens here. If you come from the States, everybody expects that you're rich and that you have money. And so, and I will say, by the way, I think a large factor, or what factors heavily into that is there are many people who save up all year to come to Sierra Leone in December. They blow all that cash when they get here. They like for bluff when they come. The JCs, when they come, they want bluff. And they're bluffing, spending all that money. And so people see that and they think, oh, all the Americans that come here have all that cash to spend. And so, you got KK drivers that are going to tell you it costs 100 leones to go somewhere that costs 20 leones. You got bike riders that are going to say it's 60 leones to go somewhere that's 10 leones, right? And then you have to tell them, and they'll drive off. They won't even negotiate with you. I've had people just drive off on me like, yeah, no, if you're not going to give me that, I'm just going to leave. I'd rather drive off and burn some fuel than to not take what I expect you to give me, even though that's not the price for what it is. So yeah, and I think you JCs are to blame. So anybody who's a JC watching, you know who you are, and you guys come here and start spending all that money, you guys are who to blame for why when we all come here, everybody is like, they hear that American accent and got their hand out, like, when are you gonna give me some money? So it's the JC's fault, you know. And you guys know who you are. Anyway, so I do say, you know, it is really important for you guys to come visit as often as possible. There's plenty of opportunity to buy land. That's the other thing, the access to buying land. You know, when I was in Ghana, although I loved it being in Ghana and made a great group of friends, great network there, access to land was easy, you know, like here for me, because of the parentals, you know, and the relationships, family relationships. Oh, and the last name for me too. I think, you know, names matter in this country. I met with someone the other day, former commissioner to Nigeria, something like that. He made some great introductions for me. He works in the private sector now. He knew my aunt growing up. He was like, Hatagwa, I know that name, Hatagwa. Do you know this person, Hatagwa? I'm like, yeah, that's my dad's, you know, full sister, same mom and dad. It was kind of crazy because it's like that, you know. You know, and through having this platform, you know, I've had other people make introductions. Someone who's the president's cousin, you know, shout out to Kellen for making that intro. And that intro to the president's cousin was an intro to someone else who was the one who knew my aunt, right? And so, you know, it's a small world here, and the 1 degree of separation thing is really, really huge here. And like I said, if you're on top of your game, you're consistent, you're passionate about what you do, and you're confident about it, it opens doors, and you can start those conversations with the people who are decision makers here. All right, Jerry Campbell says, now you mentioned wearing shorts. Is it a formal society in Sierra Leone as far as attire for conducting business? Yeah, I think most people who conduct business wear pants for sure. I mean, I've seen people wear like full suits, like full on suits, suit jacket, everything. I myself, I'll wear a dress shirt and jeans and like, what do you call these shoes? Loafers, Kohan loafers, you know? But that's kind of my thing. And then I also have I like Kohan. So I wear these. I got it, having a hard time putting them back on. I got these, and then I have like, what do you call them? Wingtips. I wear wingtips as well. And like maybe sometimes I'll wear like, you know, like khakis. But yeah, I think you just wear light material, right? So like, you know, if you're, a good way to know what to wear here is like, if you go to like Los Angeles or Florida, right, and you walk into a store wherever you normally shop, the pants there are going to be thinner, right, than maybe if you're in New York, generally, especially depending on the season, right, because of how hot it is there. So, you know, based on what I wore in LA is what I wear here. You know, most of what I bought in LA, even though this shirt I think I bought in New York, but most of what I bought in LA, it's easily transferable. These shirts are very thin. Like this shirt is really, really thin, and it's breathable. And even though it's hot, like I can survive. But shout out to the AC though. Definitely I'm a big AC user. And then Kellen, yeah, Kellen, with the unity, we all win. And Kellen's big on making introductions. What I like about Kellen is like, you know what, you should meet this person right on the phone. He makes the introduction on WhatsApp. And you know me, right after, I follow up. So Dan Diablo says, oh man, Dan. So, okay. So Dan's question is an interesting one because the question you're asking can have two answers. All right. Number one, as you may know, cannabis is technically illegal in the country of Sierra Leone. So, but I think what you're speaking about is a brand or a strand of cannabis in the United States, which is different from what they call that particular item here. And when you're talking about Kush in the United States is a strand of cannabis, one that is maybe a little bit stronger than some of the other strands, but it's still cannabis. Here, there's a synthetic drug that has other kinds of other mixtures in it that is killing people that they're calling Kush that is not cannabis, even though some people roll it up with cannabis and are killing themselves. It's a problem here with the youth. It's a really bad problem, and with some of the bike riders. So just be careful with if you're taking bikes here. But I didn't think you probably didn't think it was going to take that turn, Dan Diablo, but that's the turn it took. So, but yes, cannabis is technically illegal in this country. So that is the way I'm going to answer that question. Any other questions for me? We might as well leave this open to the Ask Me Anything segment since you guys are already asking me anything. Any other questions? We got people on TikTok. A few friends. Shout out to Marish on TikTok. I see you. House of Marish. We got a bunch of people joining on Instagram. I haven't gone live with anybody on Instagram in a while. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you guys want me to go live with somebody on Instagram. People are asking to go live on Instagram right now. People ask, there are 3 requests to go live on Instagram. If you guys want me to go live with somebody on Instagram right now, give me a thumbs up. Okay, Dan is always stirring trouble. So Dan's question is a question that some people might find interesting. So I will answer this question for you, Dan. All right. So this question is, how do the ladies treat African-American men there? It's a great question, Dan. Here's how I will describe this. It really depends on you as an individual and how you are approaching things. You know, I think Sierra Leone is a country where, you know, there are people who really want to leave this country and go to the States. Right. And so what happens a lot of times as an American, you might seem a little bit more appealing here. I've mentioned this before, as an American with an American accent, going to like Germany or the UK, it was just whatever. I'm in Germany, I'm in the UK. American accents in West Africa, at least in terms of my experience, tend to make you a little bit more desirable, right? Because in many cases, and not in all cases, and not for everyone, and not in every country, but just in many cases, it could mean the potential of a future outside of your situation that you're currently in, right? So to answer your question about ladies, how they treat African-American men here. So sometimes that could be a potential reason for wanting to date you, right? And then a lot of American men come here with their own reasons for what they're looking for. And so there's kind of a symbiotic using each other kind of relationship here, which happens from time to time. I will say one thing that is very different here is the expectation of spending money to date and while dating. As just part of the process. So, you know, if you're really serious about this question and you're looking to seriously date or even casually date, you need to be prepared to spend money. And if you are seriously dating someone, you need to be prepared to take on their family's responsibilities, right? So almost immediately you'll start to hear about siblings that are in school, family members that are in the hospital. Those are the kinds of things that could happen. Now, not for everybody and not in every situation. But in many situations that happens. I mentioned this on the live before. I don't go too deep into my dating life anymore. If you guys want to catch that, you can always go back to an old live. But I do have an ex that calls me wise spender. So gives you an idea what other people do versus what I had done historically. I've been called wise spender, which I still think is hilarious, but yeah, that was how I was described. So that gives you an idea of maybe sometimes what the expectations might be. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Jerry Campbell is saying, in terms of formal dress wear. So we're going back to the formal dress wear question. Okay, thought as much. I was just checking. It makes sense. Read Florida, California. The Caribbean is very formal, so it's suited and booted. All businesses over there. Yeah, a lot of people here. I mean, we have a law firm not too far from where I'm staying right now, and there's been a number of occasions, like when I'm walking out of the house to catch a ride to where I'm going to work out of, these lawyers are coming out suited, like nice suits too. Because, you know, lawyers, that's a profession that can generate pretty substantial income here in this country. Everybody needs a lawyer for everything. And so not everybody needs a lawyer for everything, but people who are in business, people who are coming here, you need to buy land, you need a lawyer. So yeah. They make pretty substantial amount of income and they dress nice suits for sure. Okay, cool. Any other questions for me? Oh, there was actually a request. So Kellen gave a thumbs up that he said he wanted me to go live with someone. No one else said it though. Do you guys want me to go live with someone or not? Let's see. Do I see any other thumbs up? I'm just checking. See, Kellen gave a thumbs up on YouTube. Let's see. Oh man, my IG is telling me I got 15 seconds remaining. This has never happened before. I've gone live so many times, and it's very strange now. It's telling me I got 10 seconds remaining to go live. So my live is about to end. I may restart a live, but the live is gonna end on IG. Oh well, it's already gone. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, just cut off the live. I've heard that that's happened to people before. Can you guys tell me, now that Instagram is gone, on TikTok, YouTube, and any other platforms, have you guys ever seen that it like when you're live on Instagram, it gives you a countdown, it just kicks you off? That's never happened to me before, but I've heard other people say that that's happened. And maybe that's a cue to say we got to bring this thing to a close, because we've been here a little over an hour, and unfortunately that was where I was going to go live with someone, but can't do that anymore. So I think that's it, guys. I think we're going to call it. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts before we go? No? Yes? Doesn't look like it. Vivian Malvina, do you want to go live? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys. So with that, look, I appreciate you guys always joining the live. Everybody who joins the live. I want to shout out a couple people really quickly. I want to shout out Kellen Cash for the intros and for building new relationships for me on the continent. Really appreciate you. I want to shout out a few people who are return viewers who keep coming back. Jerry Campbell is one person who's always here, always commenting. Dan Diablo, the troublemaker. I'm giving you an extra name. Dan Diablo, the troublemaker. I always appreciate you coming back. My cousin Jaya, Kai. Shout out to you. Mr. London Boy for Life has been very, very consistent as of recent. Shout out to Justina, who's been joining the lives as of recent. Did I mention Mr. London Boy for Life joining recently? Ya, or AKA YOA, has been a big supporter for a long time. Really appreciate you, and you've helped make introductions for me, so I really appreciate it. And Menelik too, who on many occasions has done the minutes and the chapters for my lives. So without him, if there's any live that you went and watched a replay of, and you're wondering who was the person who put all those chapters in there, because sometimes there's like 40 or 50 chapters. It's Menelik. He's done most of them. So shout out to him for helping out as much as he can. I really appreciate you for that. Infinigon saying audio is fine, video time sometimes lagging. I know the video lags sometimes. I'm sorry, guys. The video lags sometimes. My apologies. It's just how it works sometimes. Yeah, my bad. All right, guys. Well, with that, I want to say thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you all. Kellen saying you're welcome for the intros. Thank you for the intros for sure. Yeah, and until next time, we'll have a special update for you guys next Monday. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Right now, I'm gonna keep it under wraps, but when that time comes, I'm definitely looking forward to sharing it with you. We got lots to catch up on, guys, and I'm looking forward to sharing next week's update. It should be interesting. So with that, thanks for watching. See you all on the next video.